Things just took a major turn for the Miami Heat, as for years, Miami has been linked, has been after one of the top guys in the NBA in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and now we have some major updates that reveal this is more possible than ever in this offseason. Yes, the price would be extremely high. There are some hurdles that Miami do have to jump over, have to figure out, especially with the current roster construction, in order to make this happen. But things just took a major step in the right direction over the past 24 hours in terms of making this possible. So we're going to break down why Miami is already listed as one of the favorites to land Giannis Antetokounmpo this offseason, and how this really changes everything for Miami moving forward into the future. So much to break down out here in this video. But before we do, folks, again, if you're part of the over 67% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, and you want to stay up to date with all of the latest Miami Heat coverage, you're tuning in all the latest videos, want to stay up to the news, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing that's going on with this Miami Heat team. But let's dive into it, because of course, Miami is a squad that really just got absolutely smacked around in the playoffs. We've reacted to it. We've discussed it. Bam Adebayo came out and overtly said that there's going to be a lot of changes this summer, just from my point of view. Understanding how the guy with the silver hair, Pat Riley, works, just be prepared for that. And that's something that a lot of Heat fans are all prepared for, all ready for. Now, Miami's always linked to these top names because the top names want to play in South Beach. They want to play in a market like Miami. They all want to come. So Miami's always linked to the biggest names out there in this market. But the reality is that in recent seasons, Pat Riley just hasn't been able to pull the trigger as said, hey, I like this core, I like this group. And Miami would show enough in terms of, hey, we're good enough, we make a couple minor tweaks, take that lift. And it just never happens. Something goes wrong, something messy happens. But now, after just the abysmal showing, the disaster class we saw from the Miami Heat, expect Pat Riley to be locked in and turning around this roster, because we know Miami's not tanking. We know Miami's not going in that route. If they're going to tank, they should have tanked this most recent season. That's the reality of what should have happened for this Heat squad. There are a lot of teams taking the L's, rather than getting the play and losing their draft pick. Miami should have just bottomed out here for the stretch of the season. But because Miami doesn't do that, they are going to go full tilt after these star guys. And one name that we've brought up so many times over the years has been brought up is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And things are looking more and more likely, more and more possible than ever for Giannis to come in. Because, of course, we've heard the rumblings, we've heard the sea leaks. This came out midway through the year that Giannis has already let some people know that places he's eyeing are Miami and New York. So Miami's already getting listed the same way basically any star player, whether it's LeBron James, Kevin Durant, all these guys. Miami gets thrown out in terms of a destination that they want to go. So that's already been listed for Giannis Antetokounmpo. But basically the same way that the Miami Heat had a very bad, a bad playoff season, the Bucks are in that situation, but even worse. So let's break it all down, because Giannis, following just them getting absolutely slapped they got slapped in a couple of these games, and Damian Lillard, of course, went out, and then it was a heartbreaker for Milwaukee Bucks fans, because they end up losing that one right at the buzzer out there to Tyrese Halliburton, get knocked off, and then Giannis ends up fighting with Halliburton's dad, and he had a good game. Gary Trent Jr. had a good game, but not much else out there on the roster. Some guys. So the starters played pretty well for Milwaukee. That was one of their better games. They were motivated for Dame and all that stuff, but it is not looking good in terms of their roster. And Giannis was asked if he still thinks he can win championships with the Milwaukee Bucks. And he says, I'm not going to do this. Whatever I say, I know is going to translate. I don't know, man. I wish I was still playing. So, those comments have a lot of people reading the tea leaves in terms of, hey, Giannis is frustrated. And he's made a lot of comments about, of course, loving playing Milwaukee, but wanting to be a winner first. And frankly, the Milwaukee Bucks have not had success in their most recent seasons. They've been knocked out in the first round over the past 3 years, and despite making some big swings, stealing away Damian Lillard from the Miami Heat, they have not had success since they made that championship run. And that's a reality of what's going on here now at this point. Then we could take a look at it in terms of how this is going to affect Giannis' future, because basically, while the Nets are the favorites to land Giannis if he's not with the Milwaukee Bucks next season, you see the Miami Heat right up there in the mix in terms of among the favorites of landing Giannis out there in this spot. And frankly, I think there is the Heat, even though the Nets have a bunch of draft picks, have a bunch of things there, the Milwaukee Bucks don't have their draft picks moving forward for the future. So them going in a full tilt rebuild, them going in a situation where it's like, hey, we don't have any players, but they're going to be losing games and not reaping the benefits of getting one of those top draft picks because it's not going to be theirs. They're going to be relying on, whether it's the New York Knicks, whether it's the Phoenix Suns, whatever draft picks the Brooklyn Nets have out there from the Mikal Bridges trades and Kevin Durant trades. Those are the ones that the Nets have at their disposal, not really the picks that would be that intriguing for a Milwaukee Bucks team that don't really have control of their draft picks until 2030. So while the Nets are favorites right now, I don't see the package that being that enticing for the Milwaukee Bucks, just given all the circumstances. I think the Milwaukee Bucks want more win now players. And frankly, we saw, Giannis, of course, New York and Miami being listed as the destinations that he'd be most interested going to. And players around the league are talking about Miami being the spot. Giannis and Dave should leave Milwaukee and join Miami for the Bucks lose the first round. That's according to Marcus Morris. And basically coming out and say Danny Green came out and directly said, in regards to the Miami Heat, that they don't have much to give, but their best bet is to try and find a big star in the offseason. People will talk about Kevin Durant. Giannis, really, if the Bucks do lose and he wants out. Now, Bobby Marks did come back and say that either player is going to be a challenge. There's going to be probably be in the back of the line in terms of that have more teams that have more available assets. Certainly, we're talking about teams like Houston and those teams that have young players and draft picks. While I just look at the Milwaukee Bucks and say, hey, if they don't have their draft assets, they're not going to want to bottom out. They're not going to want to tank and completely blow out the roster. So this is where the big decisions would come into play for the Milwaukee Bucks, because for the Miami Heat, I guess the Milwaukee Bucks too, because the Heat, in terms of that list of teams that are out there, unless the Raptors are willing to part ways with Scotty Barnes, you're not getting Wembanyama from the Spurs. There's no one on the Nets that's that intriguing in terms of, hey, that's an asset that completely overwhelms you. And of course, the Lakers are not dealing Luka Doncic for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, maybe like Luka Doncic did get traded last year, I guess. But in terms of the top guys that are available on that list, Bam Adebayo is the piece that could be most enticing for the Milwaukee Bucks in order to make one of these trades happen. I know he was having a down year. He was a guy that was disappointed a lot of Miami Heat fans this season, but he's still Bam, right? He's 27 years old, 18 points per game, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He's improved himself as a shooter. Again, he's not taking a high volume by any means, but he's improving in those aspects of the court. We know the impact defender he has. Bam Adebayo is an absolutely elite centerpiece to get back in a trade package. And if the Milwaukee Bucks are as desperate as they are, Giannis is, I don't think Giannis is going to come out and overtly say, hey, I'm demanding a trade, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But if it makes sense for both the Milwaukee Bucks, just given their current, cap situation and everything that they have out there on the roster now at this point, there's not a lot of room for movement with the money they have locked into Giannis and Dame here now in these short-term situations. This is a team that if they get Bam Adebayo back, at least they can stay relatively competitive. Dame, they have a recovery season for him. He wanted to play with Bam out there in Miami. There's at least a direction there. And, of course, the Miami Heat would have to attach some other assets, some other pieces, some other role players to make sure the Bucks are in a position to where they don't completely suck and things like that. I think that's an avenue where the Heat realistically have a shot at giving a really, really solid package out there for the Milwaukee Bucks that could knock out some of these other teams, that are just going to be focused on unproven talent and younger pieces. So that's what have you. It's looking more and more likely that Giannis is going to get traded out here in the offseason, more than we've ever seen out there in, since this quest for Giannis begun for a lot of Miami Heat fans. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. Do you want to see Giannis in a Heat jersey next season? You guys best take this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.